don't know Tony, he's been serving the needs of nonprofits since 1997. He hosts two podcasts, Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio and, for the Chronicle of Philanthropy, Fundraising Fundamentals. He's a blogger, he's a speaker, and he wears many hats, by the way. So he doesn't like to tell everybody all of this, but he's also does stand-up at Gotham Comedy Club. He's an attorney. He's an incredible counsel and specialist in the planned giving area. He's fundraised millions of dollars. He's also does stand-up at the Metropolitan Room, and he's a great consultant. And if those of you that were attending Fundraising Day in New York last Friday, you would have seen Tony there interviewing all the VIPs there at Fundraising Day. So welcome, Tony Martignetti, too.
Thank you very much, Howard.
And I'm going to turn it over to Tony.
Thank you very much. Everyone, welcome. We're at a meeting of the Executive Women in Nonprofits, a shared interest group of the New York Society of Association Executives. You will find them at nysaenet.org. That was the obligatory video intro. This will be on YouTube in a couple of weeks, and you'll all get the link from Holly. And very shortly, it'll also be on my podcast on Nonprofit Radio. We're talking about relationships today. And first I'm going to have a chat with Maria. And then after that, we're going to open it up and have you share some stories about relationships that have been important to you personally or professionally, and how those have helped you professionally. Lots of different kinds of relationships, whether they're peers, people working for you, you work for, mentor, mentee, lots of different possibilities. I'm very pleased to introduce, my voice just cracked. Did you hear that? I'm pleased to, like a 16-year-old, my voice just cracked. Very pleased to introduce Maria Cuomo Cole. She's the chair of the board of Help USA, a leading developer of housing for those suffering homelessness and low income. She blogs for the Huffington Post. She's a film producer and a philanthropist. We're going to learn more about all of her work. Maria Cuomo Cole, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Good morning.
Why don't you start telling us a little more about Help USA's work?
Help USA?
Please.
Well, our mission is to create opportunities through housing and services to help stabilize families in crises and individuals in crises who are not living independently. And our long-term mission is to help those individuals sustain housing stability. And we do that through a very innovative real estate model of permanent housing with support services on site, child care services, employment, mental health counseling, etc.
Is there also something transitional before people are permanent?
Yes, the model was actually created in the 1980s by my brother Andrew during the Koch administration as a family transitional homeless model. And that model has grown in New York. We have over 200 colleagues today providing transitional homeless services. And the HELP model was named a congressional model in 1987 and has become part of each administration's working with homeless populations across the country, actually. Our permanent housing model is a more sophisticated application, basically another financial model that has enabled us to provide long-term permanent housing for the same populations.
Including a lot of veterans.
A lot of veterans.
I know homelessness is a significant problem.
That's unfortunately true. 1 in 4 homeless men is a veteran. That's been the case actually for many years. Some say that the number is closer now to 1.3, 1 out of 3. There are 61,000 homeless veterans each night sleeping on the streets in America, which is just devastating.
And for women as well.
And for women as well.
For female vets.
Female vets is a growing population that are largely underserved. And it's a population that Help USA has tailored programs to accommodate. And there has been improvement. The VA has quickly improved and expanded their services for women and for young veterans returning. The numbers were as high as 121, even higher, 200,000 homeless veterans just 3 years ago. So things are improving, but a great deal of work needs to be done quickly to accommodate our returning veterans.
You have some interesting revenue sources, including comfort foods. I saw chocolates. I
social
thought you might bring a
enterprise.
sample
We
of
try
chocolates for
everything.
the morning, but no. Yeah.
We try everything, yes. We've been able to use our Help USA artwork and the brand for some social enterprises. And we're very fortunate to be one of the 1980s nonprofits in New York that benefited so generously by Keith Haring, such a remarkable talent, artist, philanthropist in his own right, such a generous spirit.
Now, the organization can't achieve this kind of success and prominence on its own. So let's move and talk a little about relationships. How have just generally relationships been important to Help USA's growth and to your professional growth also?
Well, I mean, relations are a broad question, but I mean, the very model of Help USA, the innovative model is really one of public-private sector partnership. And the model only works because we have the interests of serving a special needs constituency using private resources and public resource opportunity. So local governments, state government, federal government, private banking communities, private businesses, and individuals all have to really partner, work together in order to create a help residence and provide services long-term.
Yeah. And for you personally, relationships, whether they're, let's start with, since we're talking about at the organization level, your relationships with peers at other organizations, whether for-profit or nonprofit.
Well, our community, I'm partial. I think that the New York City nonprofit community as a whole is really the most robust, professional, sophisticated, and collaborative in the country.
Okay.
My own experience.
Great.
And I think we really set a standard here for communities around the country.
Let's give a shout out for New York
perhaps
City.
even
Look, New York City.
internationally, right?
Right?
Exactly.
Relationships, collaboration, it's critical.
It's true. And in our space of developing housing and services for special needs populations, our provider community has been extremely collaborative through the years. In fact, when my brother Andrew was HUD secretary, we were required in New York City to work as a consortium application for funding to HUD. So, the mayor's office, communities, state, and providers had to work cooperatively at designing assessment and proposing strategies for support. So there's no greater exercise than to bring 200-plus organizations into one collaborative application process. And I think the community works very well in maximizing core strengths of individual agencies to work with populations that they have honed the expertise to serve. I know our agency and many others try very, very hard not to recreate the wheel. Ourselves, if we are providing services in the Bronx for children, and the Children's Aid Society, for example, is a very prominent agency, of course, in New York City for youth services, we turn to them to ask them to help with complementary services for our homeless youth after school. And in many such examples, we've been able to better serve our populations.
And there can be challenges too in for instance, bringing together 200 organizations, or even just partnering one-to-one. There has to be compromise. Say a little about overcoming some of those challenges.
That's true. I mean, I think that our experience has been that when there is a need that another organization can serve, and we're providing whether it's the constituency, the population, the resource of our buildings, for example. We have beautiful community spaces and retail space that a lot of nonprofits need to deliver their services. So that's a point of partnership and cooperative collaboration. So we really haven't encountered, I can't say that we've really encountered problems in that regard. It's such a rich community in New York of service providers that we have been able to find partnerships to serve our families, our single homeless individuals, veterans, children, and really enhance our overall delivery.
All right. Well, those watching from outside New York City, I hope you're
Thanks to all of you.
paying close attention, because New York is not an unfriendly place. You should come, you should come, you should visit, you should collaborate.
Should work here.
We all know this here in the room, so I'm speaking to those who are watching from outside New York. We're not unfriendly here. We welcome you. We want to work with you. We want to collaborate. Let's move to the personal side. I think all of us benefit from personal mentor-mentee relationships, maybe with peers, other colleagues. Say a little about how that's helped your professional life.
Well, this is my 20th year with Help USA, which is a measurable amount of time, 2 decades. And I can say, some of the relationships that we've developed through the years with private businesses, with other nonprofits, have really helped our model flourish. I can say partnerships with unrelated businesses to specifically what we do, like Bloomingdale's, the retailer. We've had a very close partnership with them for now over 15 years, serving children, a volunteer mentoring youth program.
And that's got to mean that you have a good relationship with either the CEO there or someone who's at the high level.
And the team, from the CEO's leadership, of course, is always essential in establishing the value of volunteerism within a company, certainly, and cooperative spirit.
Right, it's got to trickle down.
Community spirit, it has to trickle down. But, they have a fantastic executive team that really cares very much about giving back to the communities. And our partnership that started in New York with volunteer mentoring, after-school mentoring for at-risk youth, has grown to all of their 40 stores across the country, really expanding our model and our service delivery.
Do you have some specific advice for the relationship between the CEO or chair and the volunteer board or trustees?
Within the organization, our own
within Help
board.
USA, yeah.
Here too, we've been blessed with tremendous board leadership through the years. Individuals who bring different sorts of talents and acumen to help us do what we do, which is a fairly sophisticated, complex collection of services. So whether the individuals have business acumen, real estate, finance, the arts, education, health, it's a very mixed group.
And there's always that challenge.
Individuals.
There's always that challenge of finding the right trustee, the right who has the skills that
that's true,
you're
to
lacking.
complement the whole.
And we know there are plenty of attorneys, there are plenty of CPAs, but finding that right one who works well with the mission, believes in the mission,
Yes.
and is going to be a value to the board.
Yes, that's true. That is true. Our board members tend to be long timers too. I can't
Excellent.
think of more than 1 or 2 cases where board members have actually had to leave for different reasons, moving, change of work or environment. But it's a very, very committed team, and we work hard at building those relationships and really keeping our board very engaged. And we need their service. We need their contributions. So we try to make careful matches of program area and growth area where they can, really make a difference and participate, contribute.
And that's critical to find out what they want to contribute to.
Yes.
What programs interest them so that they are used in the best way.
Effectively, yes, I'd say that's true. Absolutely.
Okay. On the more personal side, I know your mom has been an important mentor for you. Say something about that.
My mother jokes that she works for me, and I joke that I work for her. So I think it goes both ways sometimes. But we actually have been running her one-to-one youth mentoring program since 1994. She had started it in the early 80s. She's truly a national pioneer in the mentoring movement. and believes in it passionately, and developed an excellent model that is still used today. She started it in the early 80s in New York State schools to lower the dropout rate, and focused on foster care aged out youth. And we've been able to maintain and nurture and grow that model since 1994 into Mentoring USA, which is delivering services in 11 markets around the country, and really thrives on partnership. Because, of course, it's a volunteer mentoring program. We work closely with the corporate community and community organizations. The model is expert at training mentors, so very good at the engagement piece of bringing a volunteer in, working with them, improving their skills, and then managing and providing support for that volunteer one-to-one. It's a very special mentoring partnership.
What would you say you've learned, most important you've learned from your mom?
Oh my gosh, she is remarkable still today at, I won't say, well, she loves being 80, so I can say that. She absolutely loves being 80 and celebrated it. Now she's more than 80, and she is just a dynamo. She contributes to the program significantly, strategically, operationally still, and I've learned everything about I've learned everything really about what volunteerism means from her. She's always prized that word, that term. We don't use it much in our nonprofit space. I think to an extent it becomes, the notion of volunteering just becomes part of what you do, right? I mean, if we're working with volunteer constituents, we don't often value their contribution of giving personal time and making that commitment, which really is a very special, perhaps the most special sort of contribution. And she values and prizes it and reminds me to respect it and honor it all the time.
How did you learn that ethic growing up?
She was always doing it. I mean, she always, no
Yeah.
matter what, her period of life was. But, as a young age, she had us out, selling daffodils for American Cancer Society in the spring. I mean, I had no idea what it even was. I was so young. We sort of just followed her along like her ducklings in all her various activities, whether it was, school, church, American Cancer Society, other formidable nonprofit efforts, always service-oriented. And then, of course, in her work with my father, their mission was service, of course. Their lives have been dedicated to public service.
And how can we pay this forward to the next generation of nonprofit CEOs?
I think for every nonprofit CEO and through the staff line and the board lines, again, I think that people, especially here in our community, I think people really value and respect what they're doing. They're making a clear choice. They're making a clear choice to work in a nonprofit environment. Everybody knows that most likely you're going to make more money in the private sector. So you're making a choice, you're making a sacrifice, and I believe that's because you're a person of mission, and that passion is what allows you to do the best work.
And how can we be good role models for the next gen coming
For
up?
the next generation,
Yeah.
I think is to, it's summertime, we all have those valuable prized interns. It's, include them in the work, really mentor them, that the mentorship we can all provide now at this point in our careers is really very, very important and valuable. And I think we can do that with our coworkers, with our young leaders, is to just, really be there, share with them, and support them.
And there's often a lot that we can learn from
them.
those we're mentoring, from the mentees, right?
Absolutely. Yes, we need to stay sharp.
Yeah. In things that they're much better versed in.
Yeah.
And that doesn't only mean social media and technology, and we're going to talk about that in the bigger discussion. Maria, anything you want to leave viewers, listeners with around the value of a relationship and its importance?
Well, I suppose the relationship with your viewers, our listeners today, that nonprofit initiatives work because of public support. That it's not just the small universe that we design and interact with, but it is the greater community, and that we need the support, we need the interest of the greater community to please follow us, watch us, think about how you can contribute and be a part of the work.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your expertise and your experience. Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.